Marvel Nemesis is a unique game as it pits Marvel heroes in an alien apocalypse, where most of the heroes died, including the Hulk. I only bring that up because the cast of characters who live doesn't quite make sense to me compared to the ones who died. But I'm going to go over all the characters and the gameplay and story now. Gameplay wise, you fight a series of aliens in like 10 different locations that keep getting reused so fucking much. Seriously, you are going to see the same 10 locations just over and over and over again. Now graphically it does look really good for a 6th gen game, and I really do like the art style. However, I only assume it looks so good because there's barely any level to render. Because again, it's just the same spots over and over again, and none of them are very big. If you aren't fighting aliens, you're fighting bosses. The bosses are either the Imperfects, which are unique and interesting characters owned and created by EA, or you fight an evil version of a Marvel character, one that's already playable. Also, every so often, you have to choose a red option. I didn't know what this was, so I chose my strongest character for it, and it turns out what this is you're choosing which character dies, because you only get to have 4 characters at a time. Not that it matters though, because once you finish your character's missions, you can't use them anymore. And each character only has like 8 missions or whatever. Anyway, so here are the characters. The Thing. This is a character that I think makes sense. He's super strong and he's very durable. Wolverine, again, I think this makes sense because he most likely died and then had to like heal back to life. In this game though, something is off. Not just with his look, but also the fact that he's one of the worst characters. Sure, he can run or climb up walls, and sure he has claws, but for some reason they took away his healing ability. And if it's for multiplayer balancing reasons, leave it in, but make him heal slow. He's already weaker than the other characters. On top of that, his boss fights are some of the hardest in the game, and he's only your 2nd character. Next is Wink, and Wink is a totally original character and one of the Imperfects. See, the Imperfects are a group who work for a man named Niles. Each one of them has some sort of ability hyper-amplified by devices made by Niles in an attempt to create the ultimate soldier. Each one of the Imperfects is good, but not the ultimate. He's taking the abilities from each of them and combining them to make his perfect warrior. Anyway, Wink is one of those Imperfects, and she's super cool. She can teleport, which makes her extra hard to fight, but also extra fun to play as. And she just looks super cool and is one of my favorite characters in the game. Sadly, the Imperfects don't get much screen time though, but you do unlock them for multiplayer mode. Next is Elektra, which... how did she live? I guess she's been brought back to life before, so maybe that, but keep in mind, the Hulk fucking died. Anyway, Elektra is the 2nd weakest character, which is unfortunate because I think she's a badass. She can run up walls and she uses her size and throws ninja stars. Each character has special attacks that use their special meter and their regular attacks that don't. For example, Wolverine's regular is his fist, but his special attacks let his claws come out. There's also regular and special blocks and regular and special throws, and sometimes fatality type actions.
Now you see me. Now you don't.
Next is Johnny Ohm. This dude got zapped by lightning in the electric chair but lived, and now he has lightning powers. Basically, the plot of Ernest from Ernest Goes to Jail. He's an alright Imperfect, and he can kind of fly with his lightning, or at least hover. Next is Spider-Man, and he's one of my favorites to beat. He's got a black and green evil suit that's really cool. He can web swing, and what I really love him for, not only are his attacks faster than like half of the cast, but also he can use his webs to grab things and opponents from like far away and just chuck them, which can be badass as hell. Also, when someone chucks something at you, if you time it right, you can catch it and throw it back. Also, when a character has rage mode, all this does is give them unlimited special ability for a short period of time. Next up is Daredevil, and he's the worst character in the game. And how he lived and not the Hulk, or Thor, or Ghost Rider? Baffling. He can kinda web sling like Spidey and run up walls like Elektra and Wolverine. But his attacks are weak, and he dies so fucking easy. I feel like the aliens are going easy on him. They're like, oh no, oh step Daredevil, I'm stuck. Oh no, please don't fuck me, step Daredevil. Next is Storm, and I feel like the stats don't always adequately represent the characters, because Storm's powers are badass. She can summon lightning and fly and shoot lightning balls and use the wind anyway, other than that though, she is weak as hell and she dies easy, and her normal attacks are weak, and she jumps like she isn't taking the apocalypse very seriously. Fault Zone is another Imperfect. She's a ballerina with spiky hands that cause ground tremors. She's not too bad, but I also don't remember a lot about her. Next is Venom, and hell yeah, does he look so cool. On top of that, his evil suit fucking kicks ass. Venom plays a lot like Spider-Man, however his attacks are slower, but to make up for this, he can take more of a beating and is stronger. Another solid character choice. Next is Solaris, who's fireproof, so Niles gives her fire powers. Or maybe plasma powers. It doesn't really matter, it's heat based, and she's basically like the Human Torch, which, speaking of the Human Torch, he survived somehow. Reed Richards didn't, Sue Storm didn't, but the Human Torch, he's here. He can fly and throw fireballs, same as Solara, but he can also die faster. Yet for some reason his speed made him actually like one of the better characters. Iron Man, one of my favorite characters in the game, he's just overall one of the best to play as. He can shoot lasers and his attacks hit hard. He has good health, he's not too slow, he can fly, he can lift all the heavy objects some characters can't. And on top of that, his evil suit looks kinda like War Machine. Next is Brigade. This dude is a Frankenstein of 100 soldiers. He's really strong. He's got lots of health and he's got a blaster. That being said, he's one of my least favorite characters. His strength means nothing if he can't hit because he's too slow. And on top of that, he randomly stops fighting to have war flashbacks and PTSD. Which is like really cool for a movie or a book or something. I guess I don't know that PTSD is cool, but it's a good story device is what I'm saying. But in a game, that means you never know when you're suddenly going to stop having control and just give your enemy a huge chance to strike. Then there's Magneto. I thought I was gonna love him, but no, I do not. I mean, it's Magneto. He should be hella powerful. But sadly, even though his durability is high, he dies easy. His grabbing things with his powers is finicky, and his attacks feel super weak, which is just such a shame. Hazmat's a really interesting Imperfect. He not only is weird and creepy, but he can also make web lines, sort of like Spider-Man, and the way he moves and fights is interesting, and he's just a go-to character. And then we got Paragon. Paragon is the ultimate warrior. She can teleport like the Wink. She can make electric ground tremors like Johnny and Fault Zone together. She has the strength of Brigade. And Hazmat and Solaris are in there too somewhere, but I don't know where. But she's really really cool. Anyway, Niles kidnapped her from a jungle where she was a warrior, took her from her family, and turned her into this weapon. Then after proving to some people how powerful she is, he's all like, I'm gonna clone her and make an army of her. Also, he's the one who's causing this whole alien invasion thing. But Paragon, she runs away and escapes, and she eventually battles Niles. And last off, our last character is Niles. He's a fucking alien whose world got destroyed, but now he's helping destroy more worlds, and I guess he's smart and has a weirdly shiny head, but his character is also a pretty solid one to play as. Paragon kills him in the end, and her and the Imperfects and the Marvel Squad are left to save the day. It's an interesting scenario. Marvel in the apocalypse. I like it, but sadly, I feel like they didn't do much with it. And the Imperfects were a neat idea that I wish more time was given to them, and that there was more story and far more level design. Overall, it feels like kind of an empty game that's reusing fights and assets, and so it feels really repetitive. And holy shit, it can be hard as balls in some levels. It does have unlockables such as fully readable comic books and cards you can look at, including swimsuit cards of a few of the women, which, yes, this is really cool, and yes, Storm is really hot, but this is only of the women, meaning the straight gals and the gay guys, they got nothing. And it's things like this that make it harder for non-straight males to get into video games. The game has a multiplayer where you can play against friends or the computer with all the unlockable heroes, and this is where the game really shines for me. I played the game for hours with friends, and yeah, it's not well balanced at all. You won't see this at an esports thing, but it can be a blast to just pick up random characters and play against your friends, and it's so much fun. But I also didn't realize how edgy this game was until I played the multiplayer. Edgy like in the Shadow the Hedgehog kind of way, where like if there's a chance to say like damn or ass, they will, but they will never go past that. And they say it so much, it just sounds so cringy.
You know what we call that? We call that a web-slinging ass-kicking.
What a great day for kicking ass. Look who just sprayed you with a can of whoop ass.
But I guess that's what you get for a T-rated apocalypse game. Anyway, to be honest, it's not a good single-player game. It's pretty fun multiplayer, but you gotta unlock all the characters first. And it looks good, it has cool concepts and characters. You can pit Marvel characters against each other. The apocalypse makes it a little darker, and it's got pretty neat style choices I like. But for every good thing, there's also a bad thing, and it's just not that fun alone. I love the concept of having to pick what heroes live or die off, but the heroes that live would need to be able to continue to be playable for those choices to really even mean anything. Overall, I do like this game, but I struggle to call it good. I just enjoy things about it, mainly the multiplayer. It's worth picking up if you're gonna do the multiplayer, and it's worth picking up just to decide for yourself, because it is really unique. But I would not call this like a masterpiece or anything.